From Sci News, new species of crocodiloid has been discovered. A new species of early crocodiloid crocodilian being named Asiatosuchus onotriensis has been discovered by a team of paleontologists from Spain. So here's the thing with crocodiloids. So the term crocodiloids referring to the family, the family of reptiles, Crocodiloideae, which has been around for somewhere around 46 million years, at least since the mid Eocene epoch. So this is when the first true crocodilians, members of Crocodiliae first evolved. Before that, you had members of Alligatoridae, which first evolved in the Campanian stage of the Cretaceous period, somewhere between 75 to 80 million years ago. So when you had the first true caimans first evolve. Now, when it comes to animals like Nile crocodiles, saltwater crocodiles, they really haven't been around for that long. Certain documentaries like there was the big IMAX from 1993, I believe, um, the Serengeti, and the narrator mentions it was James Earl Jones that crocodiles have been around since the age of the dinosaurs, and true crocodiles, or at least today's, that's not true. Now crocodiles have only been around for a little over 5 million years, so at least since the mid Pliocene epoch. Saltwater crocodiles have only been around for about 7 million years, so towards the early stages of the Pliocene. And then if you're referring to the American alligators have only been around since the mid Pleistocene epoch or the Ice Age, so somewhere between 900,000 and 1.2 million years ago. I did mention a little while back that um, like alligators first evolved somewhere around 33 million years ago. It's technically not true. I was referring to a certain common ancestor. It's probably something similar with crocodiles, but the truth is that the whole family itself has been around for much longer. Let's see. Okay. So here's the skull of the Asiatosuchus. Here, let's talk about some of the animals that inhabited this. Or wait a second, hold on. Um, The newly identified crocodiloid species roamed our planet during the Middle Eocene epoch between 48 to 41 million years ago. The prehistoric animal belongs to Asiatosuchus, an extinct genus of crocodiloid crocodilians that lived in Europe and Asia during the Paleogene period, 66 to 23 million years ago. During the Paleogene, this term isn't really used very often. Um, Paleogene, it used to be used much more often decades back, but usually it's just left out. It's either like Cenozoic era, and then it tends to be sequenced into different epochs. In certain cases, or even smaller time segments within those epochs. Um, yeah, Paleogene. That's been a while. During the Paleogene, various crocodiloids with generalized rostra, not elongated. Um, Probably what it means by that, not elongated, is that they're not very narrow and thin. Occurred in Europe, with the Middle Eocene being particularly notable in terms of relative abundance and diversity, but also includes remains from the late Paleocene and perhaps the early Oligocene and late Neogene. Many of the Eocene crocodiloid remains have been associated with an Asiatosuchus like complex. The genus Asiatosuchus was established by paleontologist Charles Mook in 1940, hmm, who defined the species of Asiatosuchus granderi based on an incomplete lower jaw and some skull fragments from the Middle Eocene of the Erdine Manha Formation in Mongolia. Okay, now let's head over to the mammals. So this is Andrewsarchus. Despite its look or its appearance, it's actually a close relative of today's whales, hippos, and even sea cows. This is also a relative of the later Entelodonts of the Oligocene epoch. Andrewsarchus roamed Mongolia somewhere around 35 to 42 million years ago, and it's a contender for the largest species of mammal to exist. Now, the reason why is I went back to this specific photo is that this is a bit more accurate in terms of the overall reconstruction of the animal, except Andrewsarchus did not have these distinct canines. They look bit better in this individual. Now, it's a big question as to what this animal would have eaten because it doesn't look like it had a very strong bite force compared to its body size. Likely, it was probably scavenging in certain instances, but if it was primarily carnivorous, that couldn't sustain it for very long because there's only so many carcasses an animal is going to find out on the plains. You would have to have something like a mass flood event or some sort of natural disaster to have an abundance of carcasses, but also soon those carcasses are going to rot. But anyway, this animal was somewhere around 12 to 13 feet in length and could have weighed close to 3,000 pounds, possibly even larger. So no bear today would want to come into contact with it. Even a hippo today, which is one of its closest relatives, would be quite shocked. But hippos are much larger. We're talking 5 to 6,000 pound animals at least. But Andrew Sarkis also probably wasn't a social hunter. Was probably quite solitary or lived alone. It was probably quite omnivorous, so might have fed on different species of shrubs, maybe even certain types of fruit. True grasses, though, probably or they have not evolved yet. There are certain grasses within this time. Here, let's go to another animal. So this is one of the herbivores that coexisted with Andrew Sarkis. This is a member of the Uintathere family, which is a very distant relative to modern day rhinos. But this species of Uintathere has a bit more of like a hippo-like structure to it, maybe even a tapir. But there are other members of the Uintathere family, like the Uintatherium, that have distinct canines protruding out of their upper jaw, despite them being very distantly related to the macrodontomorphs or the different species of saber-toothed cats. These are not closely related to cats. But this is uh, Gombuotherium, which was even larger than Uintatherium, or well, close. They're both close to same size. This animal was somewhere around 15 to 18 feet in length and could have weighed as much as 9 to 10,000 pounds. So it was yeah, it was one of the largest animals during this time. It did coexist with even closer relatives of the rhinos called the Brontotheres. This is another family of the larger Rhinosauromorph lineage. So true rhinos technically have not evolved yet during the Eocene. So this is around 40 million years ago. There are also the mammals in this region that are, well, mention one carnivorous mammal. This is an extinct species called Sarcastodon. Now, Sarcastodon, despite this animal just looking like a large otter to an extent, you could even say some sort of weasel, this was the size of a polar bear. So this animal could weigh up to 1,800 pounds and hunted the Brontotheres, might have even competed with Andrew Sarkis for food and also, there's a wide variety of different species of land herbivores at this time. So, Sarcassodon was one of the top predators. Probably also had a relatively strong bite force due to a very hard or just also very robust, just roundish and muzzle like skull. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on here. Um, Many of the Eocene crocodiloid remains have been associated with an Asiatic Suchus-like complex. Oh, I already mentioned that. Oh, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. After the definition of Asiatisuchus grongeri, several other Eosuchian forms represented by generally isolated or scarce remains from the Paleocene to Oligocene of Europe. Asia and North America have been described, being recently recognized as composing an Asiatisuchus-like complex. So let's go over to the crocodilomorphs of this lineage. So um, true, like the crocodiles of today, the caimans, alligators have not evolved yet. You have certain species of caiman today that have been around since the Miocene epoch, so about 11 million years. But this, however, is Diplocynodon. So this individual was somewhere around 18 to 20 feet in length and might have weighed or right around 2,000 pounds. This animal was a relative of the Crocodiliae lineage. So I believe it possibly was or a member of the Mechosuchian lineage. So here is a one of the 12 different species of Diplocynodon that have been discovered. There are also individuals that might have been no more than 3 to 4 feet in length. So there were larger and much smaller species of Diplocynodon. Let's see. Diplocynodon, though, probably existed a bit later in time. So we're talking somewhere around 28 to 25 million years ago, towards the end of the Oligocene epoch. So probably never coexisted with animals such as Andrewsarchus and Cicastodon. This is Baru. Now, Baru has only had three distinct species of crocodilomorph um, of its own genus. And this animal was a bit smaller than the Diplocynodon. Baru could reach somewhere around 13 feet in length, and it did make up for this somewhat smaller size. I mean, technically, it's like a medium sized crocodilian today, with having a very robust jaw. So, any herbivores within the region would have been at serious risk of being bitten by this animal. It definitely has a much broader jaw structure than what you see in modern day saltwater crocodiles. This is a smaller species of crocodilomorph. So this is Phylosuchus. And nope, sorry, not Phylosuchus, Mechosuchus. This individual, it's quite small. They didn't usually reach much more than 6 to 7 feet in length, might have weighed somewhere around 100 pounds, and tend to focus on a wide variety of maybe smaller species of the rodent family. They might have gone after smaller species of amphibians. And in this case, he's preying on a crustacean, so simply a crab. This is a really good drawing of the animal. And then here is um, another species of the Mechosuchus. I believe there's at least two distinct species of Mechosuchus. This individual was probably around like 3 feet in length at most. On average, they were somewhere around 25 to 30 inches, and despite its small size, it actually had quite a relatively, or probably had a relatively strong bite force, looking at how broad its skull is. Still probably preyed on small rodents, amphibians, and crustaceans like the Phylosuchus, despite it being less than half the size. And then there is the Mechosuchus, which is, oh, wait, hold on a second. That was Mechosuchus. I think I stepped too far. This animal was only somewhere around 25 to 30 inches. And this might be an older reconstruction of the animal, still a relatively good drawing, but also possibly a distinct species of Trilophosuchus. So many of these crocodilomorphs, even looking at a distinct genus. So this is Trilophosuchus. This individual is Mechosuchus. Trilophosuchus, I believe, only has one distinct species. So, at least out of all of the distinct crocodilomorphs in lineage, we have a very little variety with Trilophosuchus at the moment. These individuals, though, lived a bit later as well into the Oligocene epoch. So, somewhere around 26 million years ago, unlike the Asiaticus in this instance, but also certain crocodilomorphs that I've mentioned, they existed from the like late Eocene, so somewhere around 35 to 36 million years ago, or towards the end of the Miocene epoch, so around 10 to 11 million years ago. So despite them not showing up at the same time as Asiaticus in this instance, they had a much longer reign. Asiaticus, it looks like it might have been, or so far, it's like the only crocodilomorph, at least that I know of, that has been found in the Erdin Manha Formation of Mongolia. So this takes place somewhere between 40 to, or I'd say 38 to 56 million years ago. That's how long the Eocene, well, close to how long the Eocene epoch was. The Eocene ended somewhere around 34 million years ago. Let's see. The fossilized remains of two Aegiadisuchus onutrensis individuals of similar size were discovered in the 1980s at the site of La Laguna in Spain. The specimens include a nearly complete skull and an almost complete left lower jaw. La Laguna fossil site is located about 1 kilometer to the north of the village of Casasisca de Campion, about 20 kilometers to the south of Zamora City in the Tierra del Vino region, Zamora province, Spain. Oh, I didn't realize I forgot we were still in Spain. Hold on a second. Oh, it's a distinct, we're talking about distinct species. It was a separate species from Mongolia. It was, I believe, Granderi. And this is Onotransis. This can happen with many animals. I'd say probably probably all of them, especially if you start going to subspecies. And um, it's just remembering not to confuse yourself with um, these different species and genre, and remembering where you are, and in this case, also what time period. So at the moment, it's talking about Onotriensis. This region forms part of the western sector of the Douro Basin. The Douro Basin is the largest continental Cenozoic basin present in the Iberian Peninsula. According to the authors, the discovery of Asiatisuchus onutriensis increases knowledge on the diversity and distribution of the Asiatisuchus-like complex crocodiloids. Asiatisuchus onutriensis adds valuable information to the knowledge of the systematics of the relatively diverse crocodiliform fauna from the Spanish Douro Basin. Okay, so this is good to know. We okay have I guess it's official that Asiatisuchus grangeri is a now a new species, or is it Onotriensis? Okay, it's Onotriensis. I think, the granderi was what was first described back in the 1940s. Okay, let me know what your favorite species of crocodilomorph is from the Cenozoic era in the comments. From prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guy Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment. If you love talking about animals, share this show with everyone you know, because nothing is better than all animals all the time.